Hey guys, it's Lord Void the Eighth, and welcome back to another episode of the No Tank Challenge. And this is a continuation of my videos on Call of War Mobile, the awesome strategy game that allows you to assume the position of um, one of those countries in troubled times around the 1930s, 1940s, and dominate the world. So, last episode, I believe where we left off, our borders were about right there. Kind of these few territories right here. And we were kind of just planning for an attack against South Mexico, and as you can see, that has progressed quite a lot. So, when we first attacked, we weren't really doing much down here in Central America, South Mexico, just because most of our aircraft were up here, and as you can see, we control all of the Cuban islands and the rest of Jamaica. So that's just chilling there. I really don't want to just get caught off guard by like some little destroyer that I don't know, like South Mexico is just chilling around there because he does have a little bit of a navy, but it's just some destroyers and cruisers, all in single units, nothing that is going to annoy us too much. But that's why those troops are protected by the destroyers. So really what we did, we kind of just sat there while the artillery and the planes just destroyed everything. Like, if I can show you a look at the casualties, it'll put a good picture in your mind. So, okay, remember those players, the top four, and then number 6. They'll be important later on. So, if we have a look in the newspaper, South Mexico, 36,000 casualties, Colombia, 2,400. That's really good, guys. At least I think it is. If you're a perfectionist and like you don't even like to lose planes, you just use artillery. I disagree with you. Planes are relatively easy to replace, especially with the type of losses that we suffer. We lost about a plane or two per day, and like if we have a look here, I'm regenerating like all the planes that I lost, and I'm reducing new tactical bombers down here, and soon I'm going to open another air stack, which is the start of it is right there. And so basically what we did, just kind of sat there with our artillery just pounding down on the enemy, and he had some decent stacks up there. Like, I think he had a total of about 20 units up around Havana. So we pushed him, I'm not quite sure where it was, but I think it was like right here, and we pushed him all the way off. And then he had no troops on these islands, so we just had the armored car go around and take them, which, it's an armored unit, but I've had it since the beginning, and like, I'm not about to chuck it in the ocean and never use it. Plus, like, the way I've been using it, with the exception of Venezuela, like, I just had to capture islands, and really it disembarks at the same speed as any other unit, and so really didn't destroy the whole no tank thing. So yeah, I'm just gonna have those wait there, and actually I think we can move them now. I'm just waiting for the last destroyer of those 7 to join up so that I'd have 100% SPDE. That's the maximum number of destroyers that you can have in a stack without their amount of hit point damage going down. So I think we're just gonna have them scoot on over here. I like that. It's pretty convenient. Having it just like stay in the corner. We're just gonna have it chill up there. Once it gets there, I'll have the troops disembark. And yeah, so basically what we did down here, so after we finished up Havana, or the Cuban areas, we just, like, we went to bed, we sent our planes all the way down here, and they started patrolling around this area. And so, about that time, South Mexico was like, basically just, screw it, I'm definitely done for. He's got 25 planes, and they're like the immortals of Persia. They never die. I always have 25 in a stack. And I just had them down there patrolling. And as you can see, I'm like finishing up right now. But this was a bulge right here where he had some troops. And I just like kind of sat there and waited. I wasn't about to engage them directly just because, that's a waste of troops. And like I'm literally about to finish off the last province that is in our back. And as you can see there, we had our artillery accompanied by anti-air, and then some infantry, and then that mech infantry. Those planes were just patrolling. They destroyed the last light tank in San Salvador. Don't put tanks in cities, guys, unless you very much have to, or if the city's empty and you're just cruising on through it. Blitz. It's stupidity. They have a 50% deduction on hit points and attack and defense values while they're in cities. It's just not wise. So yeah, we have our troops set to capture all the rest of this. So early in the morning, we had a breakthrough right here. Like, while I was just waiting, I did have this artillery stack down here already, and they were just pounding away at La Ceiba, which was like the northernmost, although that's not much of like a distance. The northernmost group of troops were in there, and they pushed them out of there to get some nice industries from it. Although so far, no naval bases. I'm hoping to get one from like here or there. See, like, that's a level 3 naval base, but no industrial complex. I'm probably going to repair that soon. And I'll tell you why later. But yeah, we just had troops kind of moving on up. And as soon as we finish San Salvador, we're just kind of pushing through to capture all the territory. So we're building up the chain of air bases. Always do that, guys. Especially like right after you get the capital. Because you never know when someone else, like this big brown dude who just took over Mexico City, to just cruise in and be like, I'm gonna take your stuff while you're all disorganized. Which personally is why I wait before I invade someone else's, because I'm all disorganized and I need to regroup my units, refill my plane squadrons, and add a few more units to my army. Just replacing the losses, getting everything reorganized. But yeah, so what happened was, like, the reason I have all this territory already is just because, like, I had a stack of about 8 motorized infantry just waiting to take that. And once that army fell apart, they just pushed on through there, and that was just a huge gap. And so I just absolutely blitzed him. I mean, he's inactive now, but even against like an active person, that's like a huge hit to like not only your morale, like of the not only to the morale of like the cities themselves, but also your own morale. Like, it's just not fun to have like 60 or like having like 11 motorized infantry or tanks, probably more likely, just cruising on through your core or any bit of territory. It's just not fun. And like, it just makes you want to quit if you're anything like me. If you're more courageous, then you'll keep going until you've lost every territory. But I don't care that much about my games. especially since I have a life outside of this. But yeah, so I just split the stack, and then I had like 3 more coming in behind because I had produced them. And I'm always going to be producing those because they are my light tanks. They are my blitz units, and they're actually like really good. If we look at the stats, I think I showed you guys this last time, but they're still like, I'm still in awe. Like, it does 2 attack against tank, but it defends at 3, which is like nearly as good as, if not the same as, light tanks defending against each other. And then it defends against 6.8 against infantry and attacks at 4.5. That's really good. And then the anti-air defense is really good. Plus, it's just super fast. Look at that. 50 on plains and 40 in hills, in forests, and in cities. It's just really fun to use. And I haven't really used them like that often before. Like, I only used them as like a starting unit when I had them to begin with. But I'm just getting on the rant. So, I'm basically just going to finish him up. So, one thing I noticed, like, yesterday or something, as I zoomed out to take a to look at the bigger picture, as you can see, Wyoming has completely destroyed Mexico City, who owned up to about like right here. Basically all of Mexico north of South Mexico's holdings. And like he wasn't a small empire. He wasn't a terrible player. Definitely better than South Mexico for sure. And then we still have California chilling over there. But Wyoming basically destroyed him completely. And, excuse me, now we just have, we're just looking at a massive empire. And then I also noticed that they're all in the same alliance. Like, these 4 players are like I showed you earlier. So New York, East Ontario, sorry, I don't know the names of any of these, Manitoba, and Wyoming are all in an alliance, and it seems like this guy is in an alliance with New York to some extent, because nothing has happened, and they've been that way for like a really long time. And then there's a possibility that these 2 are allied with Wyoming in some way. And like the last bits of unoccupied ground are just slowly disappearing. Like, that's an inactive player, and it's going. Really, guys, Florida is the only active major player other than myself who's independent. I mean, there's a chance that like these guys and this guy's independent, but like it's really unlikely because nothing has happened. They're huge, power-hungry empires. They love land, obviously. Kind of fat. And I did get a reveal all armies earlier in Wyoming. He does have like a decent amount of aircraft. I think he has about 10 less than me, and probably more. And it will certainly be more, or certainly be less in the days to come. Because no, it's more. Jeez, confusing myself. Because I'm going to build that other air wing. So he has about like 7 tactical bombers, and they're all in their own stack. And then he has about 10 fighters. So a decent enough air force. What you'd expect from a player this size, who I'm still laughing at this, who hasn't built anything on their core oil province. I'm still laughing at that. I mean, granted, he's built like industries on his food and rares, but you know, oil is like really important. I mean, I have 3 oils, and look at me. I've got max infrastructure on both of them. Or, yeah, max infrastructure, and I'm building just an industrial complex on my double. And that's another thing to point out. Our economy is progressing really nicely. Like now we have all level 5 industrial complexes on our cities. Nearly for there, and then Menonge. I don't know. I should just stick to pronouncing American names and leave it at that. I guess I can pronounce a few German names, but again, I'm getting off topic. So I decided to be salty with Wyoming because I think I can beat him. Partly because he hasn't built infrastructure on his oil, which tells me something about like his economic abilities and his opinion regarding economy, and then the fact that I have a larger air force and will soon have a much larger air force than he will. And really, his entire army is just like little, just single light tanks just floating around. And really, I think the only reason why he was able to beat Mexico City so easily is because the greatest extent of Mexico City's armies were like a few single medium tanks. And like I mentioned it before, I always like to take a moment after I finish an invasion to kind of regroup my units, and that is where strength comes, is large groups of units, and then to make them even stronger, just having the air power to back it up. So that's what I'm basically going to rely on. And then additionally, I've started spamming anti-tanks. Like there's one, and then there's like a few more coming from around here. Have still started building infrastructure in my non-core food provinces because it's getting pretty close here. If we look at food production, we're barely in the positive. Like we went negative, I think it was today actually, just earlier today in the morning, and boom, food production just -1 or something. You're like, oh my gosh. I mean, we do have 2 food provinces, which is kind of stupid for having to do a no tank challenge, which means everything on the ground you have is going to be infantry based, and none of it like armor based. So that's what we're going to rely on. We're going to rely on big stacks to defeat all of his little armies, and then air power to defeat his large armies. And he also does have a pretty decently sized navy for like him being a landlocked nation to start with. But again, ours is larger and it will continue to get larger. And that's why I believe like I'm going to win this war, is because like those 2 superiorities I consider to be the most important of all the fields of battle. So yeah, that should just about close up our look on things. As far as diplomacy goes, well, I don't know. So I said before that I was going to look at taking down Florida. He's not like a supremely good player or anything. He's added a little bit of territory to his domains, but like he hasn't built infrastructure there. Again, telling me something about his abilities, his experience as a player. Because if you're a good player, you are going to build infrastructure, and if you want to do well, like big time, you need infrastructure. If you want to micromanage, you need infrastructure. And that's just the beginning. Like, there's so many other things, but Oh shit. Okay, so we took San Salvador. Have some nice industries there, thanks to the AI, probably. And so yeah, we're just gonna continue to progress. It is kind of daunting that we have basically the vast majority of the map against us, and like I'm talking the vast majority, like the four biggest players and then the biggest player after me will all be at war with me, and that's why I've started building fortifications here, and I've really been kind of getting lazy with that. I will start building them up a lot more now that I don't have to put so much resources into upgrading industries. See, like after uh, those are done, like I'm not going to put anything else into them as far as construction goes. So I've already kind of talked about economy a little bit, but um, you know, like I said, I'm building infrastructure on all the best non-core provinces for food, and I'm going to continue to do so just to make sure that I continue to stay in the positive for food, as I hate being in negative. It just looks ugly to have the orange number up there, and yeah. So um, basically, just gonna start building fortifications, and yeah, that should just about close up our video. So thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Especially if you would give me a like, and possibly hit the subscribe button. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. And then tell your friends about me, guys. I haven't seen a whole lot of Call of War YouTubers, but maybe I'm just not branching out. They are getting better. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later.